first of all, just so you know, batteries, if you do them along with solar, can be included in your investment tax credit. So, for instance, right now, 26% tax credit for 2020. If you do batteries as well as any other pieces of equipment to get that solar installed, a portion of your roof, or if you're having a new roof put in, or any other equipment, you can fold that all into the tax credit and get 26% of that back from the federal government as well, of that cost. But with that said, does everyone need a battery? If you have money to burn, then sure, get a battery. I mean, they can't hurt. But I've had many people who thought they wanted a battery, and I said, well, is there a reason you want a battery? And they said, well, in case of a power outage. And then you say, well, when was the last power outage you had? Last year. How long was it for? 20 minutes. If you're out of a fire zone, you're out of an area where your power is shut off for days or for hours, a battery would be nice to have, but I wouldn't say that it's necessary. I mean, you can live and survive with being out of power for 20 or 40 minutes or even an hour or so. But if you're in those fire zones, if you're in those areas where they're prone to power outages that can last for a couple of days or a full day, then you've got refrigeration issues and internet issues, and you're out of touch with the rest of the world because you have no power, and we survive on electricity. So then a battery becomes very efficient, and there are many batteries out there that range anywhere from 11,000 on up to 20,000. But you shouldn't have to pay. You shouldn't pay more than probably 12 to 13,000 for a battery. Batteries have a lifespan of about 10 years. Okay, so your warranty is 10 years. A solar warranty is 25 to 30 years. A battery, you can get insurance on that battery. You can get a warranty on it that you can purchase in addition. And basically what that means is in 10 years, they come out and they give you a new battery. So essentially you have a 20-year long battery, right? And that's much more acceptable and probably cheaper than buying a new battery. They're cleaner than a generator. A lot of people will tell you, well, I have a generator. Well, that's great. But you know what? During the year, you've got to fire up that generator. You got to make sure it's got oil in it. You got to make sure it's got gas and it's, or propane, whatever it is that, you're using to power that generator. And so you've got to keep it in tip-top shape. It's like a piece of machinery or a car that has to, where they say go out, and if you've got a car that just sits for a while, they say go out and start it up every couple of days. Well, same thing with a generator. It has oil, it has moving parts, and it needs to be started. It needs to be checked on and coddled through the course of a year until you absolutely need it. A battery just hangs there, and it is fine. It is, it is clean energy. You don't have to fill it with oil. You don't have to go check on it. It's there for when you need it. And when it's needed, what happens is they have an inverter between the solar panel and the battery. And once the solar panel will keep loading up the battery for whatever reason, if it starts to lose energy or what have you. But once the power goes out, what happens is the inverter then is warned and it triggers over to the battery. The battery covers your essentials, your critical loads is what we call them. And those are pretty much your survival loads, all right? We want to live, we want to be able to get to our loved ones. So we want to be able to use the internet. So we want to be able to communicate with the outside world. We need refrigeration. You can't have your food spoiling. We need some lights so we can see to get around. And those are pretty much your critical loads. If you have an electric stove, that's not really that important. You can use your grill outside on propane. An electric stove isn't that necessary. If you believe it is, then tell them you want that to be part of your critical load. But for us, that's not really a survival piece. Refrigeration survival, lighting's a survival, internet's a survival, but you can go out and use your gas grill or what have you and cook with that. The nice thing about batteries, they can be hung outside or inside. They need to be near your, I guess the downside is they do need to be near your utility box. And they're about 200 pounds and they probably 3 foot by 5 foot. They can hang on a wall and they're mounted. They have an app that goes with them, so you can be warned when it clicks over to your battery. For some reason, you're away from your home and the power kicks off, then you'll be warned with your battery or with your app that your battery's being utilized. And you can do that for a few days, because what happens is the solar now is hooked to your battery, and the solar will regenerate your battery. And you can last for almost a week with that process of the solar kicking in and replenishing your battery. But at some point, there's going to be a point of no return. But usually within a few days, your power is back on. So, okay.
How come it doesn't just go on forever if it's replenishing, if it's sunny?
Well, it never goes to 100%. Like a lot of batteries, it fills it to 75%, and then it fills it to 50%, and then it just keeps it diminishing returns, and it just eventually you're not going to get anything loaded into it within the time frame that you need to do it.
I see.
Because within the short amount of that time frame of when the sun is available to load that battery, it can only load so much energy from the sun. And so and it's never going to completely fill up the battery moving forward.
What if you're one of these people that has a tiny house, you've just, and it's really, really efficient and so forth? Is that something where
I would just run off a battery completely?
I would totally off the grid.
I would just have a battery with solar and be off the system entirely. I mean, you really don't. I mean, why would you need, in the tiny houses, you almost don't need a utility. You could just set up your solar and have it powering your battery, right? Listen, a tiny house is essentially an RV, right?
Yeah.
And that's what RVs do all the time. They have solar and replenishes their battery. The battery then drives all their equipment, and, digital devices and what have you. And then when the battery needs to be replenished, they put the panels out there again. And so if you have one of the tiny homes,
it could happen. Cool.
You would just be independent, totally independent.
Do large homes need more than one battery?
It can. If you have, I've done that in a couple places along the Strand. Your bigger homes, the wine cellars and what have you, and they've got the money to spend, so they want to make sure that their non-critical items are still operating in these blackouts, and so they, they'll get 2 batteries. I have yet to put in 3, but I've definitely put in 2.
Would you give us an idea of the square footage of a house that would require?
Well, it's the square footage might be 4,000 square feet, but it's more about their usage. How much of that square footage is air conditioned? What kind of lights do they have? So it really comes down to not so much square footage, but usage. And, and your critical loads, if you want more than just your basic refrigeration lights and internet, you're going to need another battery.
Hey, Mark, I was curious if batteries is something that might become a little bit more affordable as more and more people switch to solar. So if I wanted to wait maybe 5 years, do you think I could get a better price?
Well, you'll get a better price on anything in 5 years. Uh, you know, mechanical, just like I guess, except for the iPhone. I don't know why it doesn't continue come down, but the batteries are interesting in that you would think the price would be coming down, but the manufacturer, what they initially sold them out at in the cell technology that they have, the margins are so thin that they don't have any room to move. So I'm not sure you're going to see a whole, maybe technically they'll come up with a better mousetrap, but as batteries are today, I'm not sure that you will see the prices come down that much. What I'm hoping is that they will create batteries that will just last longer. So you're spending the money, but now it's 15 years or 20 years versus 10 years guarantee. And then, you're always going to get the environmental impact too that people talk about. What do you do with these old batteries? Well, now they've got them to the point they've evolved to the point where we can recycle the batteries. So that's good news too. So when your battery is dead and you send it away and put in a new one, it's going back and it's being recycled. So that's good news too. But I don't know if, I still haven't seen the prices come down. I keep waiting for that to happen. So I think what's going to happen is you'll still get rebates. Hopefully, if legislatively that they'll see their way to continue to offer rebates to people who buy batteries. So that, for instance, right now, if you bought a battery, you can get in the queue. It takes forever to get the money, but you probably get $1,800 or $2,000 back, $1,800, $2,000 back on the battery rebates in the state of California. So and that's a state deal, but I don't think so, Irene. I don't think the prices are going to come down much.
I guess if I want it, I just need to go ahead and buy it now.
Yeah, because you also have to think about, okay, in 5 years, do your cost analysis. That's true of solar too. People say, well, the panels will get cheaper in 5 years. Well, sure, they'll be cheaper, but how much did you spend over those 5 years that you could have put into solar and saved, and maybe saved even more, because these utility rates are going to continue to go up. Betsy was talking about putting what LADWP is doing, but in the same newsletter, I mentioned that PG&E has already sent out a notice to their subscribers that their rates are going to be going up again in 2021. And it's not just them, it's everybody. SCE, SDG&E, PG&E, LADWP, all their rates are going up. They're not going down. And so even though we calculate 4% increases whenever we do your proposal and what you're going to be paying in 5 years and what you're saving and all that, you're actually probably going to be saving a lot more money when you pay cash. But if you're paying your return on investment is going to happen sooner actually than what typically we put in a proposal, because the rates are going to continue to go up. And so I it's kind of like what if you wait till you think you're ready to have a baby, you will never have a baby. It's same way with solar. I mean, they'll never. Today is the day you should get solar.
There we go. Thank you so much, Mark. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you, guys. Keep doing your good work.